Welcome, welcome everyone to another episode of So Random and Weird Pod. I am your host for today, Sarah,
And I'm Sheena.
and just wanted to remind you all that you can find us on most podcast systems like Apple, Spotify. We're on YouTube. And of course, if you want to reach out to us, you're more than welcome to. We're on Facebook and Insta. And you can always email us at so random and weird podcast at gmail.com. We want to hear from you. We want to hear all your weird stories, your crazy stories, your fun stories, your paranormal stories, anything you want to tell us. Please reach out to us. We want to hear you. And let's get started. How are you, friend?
Well, happy Mother's Day.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yes. Yay. Well, and happy Mother's Day to you for your fur babies. You are a mother to fur babies who rely on you and depend on you. So I don't
Yes,
wanna,
and I have to clean up their vomit and their poop.
oh, yes, just like any mom does. So. Um, yeah, I had a pretty fun day today. I went bowling with the kids and some friends of mine and their kids and, uh, played some mothers got to bowl free. I was like, "Oh, thank you." And, then, they also had a $1.50 special games. So it was like $1.50 games and $1.50 shoe rentals. So, like, the whole thing, it was like 20 some dollars for, like 8 of us, I think? 5, 6 yeah, there's
Wow.
8 of
I
us.
mean, haven't seen anything like that since we were kids.
Exactly, exactly. It was, like, really awesome. I was like, "Holy smokes." So, yeah. And got some pictures of sodas and stuff for the table, and it was really fun, and then we went out to after that, the kids and I, we came back home for a little bit, and then we went out to Utter Choice up in Ephrata, and we had ice cream with my mom and my dad, and they said hi, by the way, I think I said that to you, uh,
Yes, you did. I miss
but
them.
but yeah, and then we had a little bit of a lunch there and everything, so that was nice, but yeah, it was, pretty much it was a pretty good day, kids were a little crazy, as usual, but that's to be expected. Well, Tyrion was. He was derping. That's his ADHD personality. I don't know if I ever told you about derp.
Yes,
Apparently, it's Fred backwards, and, he was annoying Arya, and I had to yell at him a few times, and Mike had to threaten to come pick him up a couple times at the bowling alley, so I was like, "Ah." But, I mean, the other adults kind of really helped out with him, so I was thankful for that.
good. Yeah, I've just been trying to finish studying because I take my test on next Sunday
Gosh.
for my pharmacy technician certification. So,
I'm so excited. I'm so excited for you, friend. I really am. I'm nervous, but I'm excited too.
yeah, same.
And once again, it's next when?
Next Sunday. So when I provide my story next week, I'll be a few hours after I take my test because we can do it online and they proctor
Mhm.
online. So that way I don't have to go anywhere and I can just take my test home. And
Nice.
so, yeah. And like this week, I'm finishing up my classes. There's that. And then afterwards, the next thing will be doing an externship and or getting a job. Well, also I need to get my state board stuff as well. So that's what I've been doing. Besides craving subs, like real subs that you could get back east, like real hoagies.
Gotcha, gotcha. Real hoagies, huh? Yeah.
Mhm.
Do you not what do you have out there? I'm curious.
Well, they have them, but they just don't taste right.
Mm.
You
I'm
know, well, I
sorry.
mean, it's just, when you get an Italian sub, you want an Italian sub and they're just missing a piece. So the
Hmm,
best I can get right now that I've found so far has been Jersey Mike's.
okay.
So that's pretty much the only one that I've been able to go, okay, it's reasonable. So I miss good pizza. I mean, nothing compares to back east pizza. I'm sorry. I've tried a lot of places while I've been out here, and they just don't compare. So,
Sorry.
eh, the only option is me moving back to Pennsylvania, and that's not happening.
Why
Much as I
not,
love
friend?
Pennsylvania.
I was gonna say, I mean, you're gonna get to hear all about Pennsylvania today, so it's like, maybe that'll help convince you, like, to move back home. Like, "Hey, all the fun facts I'm gonna tell you about Pennsylvania." But, no, it's I get it, I get it. It's, it's you that's been I mean, honestly, that has been your home for the past many, many years. I get it. Alright, well, speaking of the Keystone State, I'm gonna talk to you today. I had free space, so I wanted to kind of focus on the so random and weird part of our name. And I wanted to bring some weird, interesting, fun facts and oddities. And I so many things came to mind. It was such a struggle at first because I was like, "Oh, I could do this. I could do this. I could do this. I could do." There's so many weird things out there. Let me tell you.
Like Scrapple.
Well, yeah. Um, but I had to narrow it down. So I was like, "You know what? I wanna focus on my home state of Pennsylvania." And I wanted to talk about just fun, weird, interesting facts about Pennsylvania and focus on my home state. So, I kinda did like a deep dive into the Keystone State, covering everything from a groundhog that might actually be immortal to a town that has been
Ew.
on fire underground for over 60 years, and nobody can
Yes.
put it out. And yes, both of those are completely true. So odd, I know. First, I do wanna talk about the name of Pennsylvania. It is a mouthful, Pennsylvania. People have been misspelling it for so long. And, even the Liberty Bell has it misspelled on it.
It does?
But
I didn't
I'll
know
get to
that.
that in a second. So Pennsylvania has been confusing and delighting people since before the United States was even a country. And that legacy of weirdness is absolutely the reason why I am here today talking to you about the Keystone State.
Well, I mean, come on, you gotta give it up to
Yeah.
you gotta give it up to a state that they have the name intercourse as one of their towns.
So I talk about that in here too. So I'm gonna go grab my soft pretzel because soft pretzels in Pennsylvania they go together, and
Gee,
we're gonna deep dive into the
I
Commonwealth.
wonder, did I ever live there? Oh.
All right. All right. So first things first, we're gonna go into the name game. Penn's Woods, misspelled Bells, and a state that didn't want its name. So Pennsylvania was founded by William Penn. He did not want Pennsylvania named after himself, not even close. Penn petitioned King Charles II of England to name the new territory Sylvania, which comes from the Latin word for woodlands. He thought naming it after himself would look arrogant. The king, apparently delighted by the opportunity to honor Penn's late father, Admiral William Penn, combined the admiral's surname with Sylvania and called it Pennsylvania, meaning Penn's Woods. William Penn was embarrassed by this. He literally wrote letters trying to get the name changed, worried people would think he was being vain. The king said no, because, it's good to be the king. You can make those choices. And so for over 300 years, the state has carried the name of a man who didn't want it. So Pennsylvania is officially a commonwealth, not a state, along with only three others, including Kentucky, Massachusetts, and Virginia. Legally, it changes very little. Culturally, Pennsylvanians will absolutely tell you about it.
Mhm.
Honestly, I've been in Pennsylvania. I mean, I know it's called the Commonwealth. Eh. I could care less. I don't know. I'm like, whatever. But speaking of the name, uh, interesting fact about the spelling, it has given people a headache trying to spell it. Um, and even, like I said before, one of the most iconic objects in American life and history, the Liberty Bell. If you look closely at the inscription on the Liberty Bell, the word Pennsylvania is misspelled. It only has one N. It is spelled Pennsylvania. So before we start judging people and being like, "Ah, these people are illiterate." No. It was actually a common alternate name, for Pennsylvania back then. So people were still kind of figuring out the English spellings, and things like that, and so, um, that was another name or another way to spell Pennsylvania, just using 1 N instead of 2 N's, PNN. But it's interesting because, it's one of the most iconic symbols of freedom, and Pennsylvania is misspelled on it. So,
I mean, it's Philadelphia, or as my
eh,
dad would call it, Filthydelphia.
filthy Philadelphia. Oh god. I'm sorry to all the Philadelphians out there that we just insulted maybe. No, I haven't been to Philly in a while. I
My
used to
dad
go
called it.
down. I used to go down. We have family. Well, Mike has family in Philly, but I do lock my doors when I go into Philly proper, Philly proper. Not the historical, just anyway. To continue about the Liberty Bell. Interestingly enough, during the American Revolution, when the British marched on Philly, the patriots were terrified the British would melt down the bell for cannon metal. So in 1777, they loaded the bell onto a wagon and snuck it 60 miles inland to Allentown, where it was hidden under the floorboards of what is now the Zion United Church of Christ. It sat there literally underneath the floor, a church floor, for 9 months while a war raged nearby. When the British finally left Philly, the bell was brought back. The whole time, like the whole thing kind of felt like a, oh my God, heist, like, oh my God, they're coming, And so they're like rushing this bell to like hide it. And I don't know. I mean, I guess I understand why they would have done this. I mean, it's the British, probably took what they wanted, and I mean, it's war, spoils of war. But it's interesting. They had to like ship this thing. I wouldn't have thought that, oh, let's hide the Liberty Bell. But I mean, I guess it was a reality of the time. Yeah. Um, and like I said before, Pennsylvania is a commonwealth. Like, only one of 4 states that is officially called a commonwealth. The word comes from Old English, common weal, meaning the common well-being of the people. Like I said, Kentucky, Massachusetts, and Virginia are of the others, the commonwealths in the United States. In Pennsylvania, all legal proceedings are carried out in the name of the commonwealth. It doesn't change any laws or powers. It's largely ceremonial. And then we move on to some interesting traditions that Pennsylvania has, namely a groundhog named Phil, the inner circle, and a holiday that started with eating him. All right. So I think one of the biggest cultural and probably well known cultural exports is Puxatawny Phil, the groundhog, the
Mhm.
prognosticator, the one true weather predicting groundhog of the known world. Well, for the most part. I think there's another one, but he doesn't count. That one's a fake one.
Mhm.
This one's real. Every year on February 2nd, tens of thousands of people travel to a tiny little town of Puxatawny in western Pennsylvania, a town whose year round population is under 6,000, by the way. And they stand in a field at dawn in the middle of winter, waiting for a groundhog to emerge from a stump and tell them about the weather. So this has been happening officially for over 135 years. It started in 1887. I think that's pretty incredible. So the town, just FYI, the town of Puxatawney gets its name from the indigenous Lenape language, and I'm probably gonna mutilate this, and I apologize. Punxsutawney Utini, meaning town of the sandflies. Absolutely nothing to do with groundhogs. The groundhog thing obviously was much, much later. Um, but anyway, let's back up. So the tradition has roots going back thousands of years to Celtic and European weather folklore. The Celts celebrated the midwinter festival in bulk on February 1st. And then, of course, when Christian traditions came in, and we're like, no, there's this pagan, heathen crap. We're going
You
to change
heathen.
the customs, and it's going to be Candlemas. And that became tradition on February 2nd. And in Germany and other German speaking areas, there was a folk belief that if a hedgehog came out on Candlemas Day and saw its shadow, meaning it was sunny, that meant 6 more weeks of winter. If it's a cloudy day, early spring. When waves of German immigrants settled in Pennsylvania in the 1700s, they brought this
And we
tradition
don't
with
have
them.
hedgehog.
Exactly. Exactly. But here's the thing. Exactly. We don't have hedgehogs, you know? They weren't readily available in PA. So they looked around and they're like, okay, what else can we use? The groundhog. That's the closest thing. Hedgehog, groundhog. Why not? It has a hog name in it, right? It's all the same. Sure. So the first official Groundhog Day, as we know it, was February 2nd, 1887, organized by the Punxsutawney Groundhog Club and its members, who trekked out to a spot called Gobbler's Knob to consult a groundhog. And I'm sure that sounds really familiar if you've ever seen the movie Groundhog's Day. It is based on, although I'll talk about it later, it was not actually filmed in Punxsutawney, but it's very similar. It was based on the actual ceremony. Anyway, so the members trekked out to Gobbler's Knob to consult a groundhog. The whole thing was partly the brainchild of climber Freas, Freas. I said the name wrong. It's a weird last name. He was the city editor of the Puxtawney Spirit newspaper, who declared that Puxtawney Phil was the one and only official forecasting groundhog. He just declared it in the paper and it stuck. Must be nice. But it's 1887, there's not much to do. So people are like, sure, why not? Phil's the groundhog. Yep, this is, he's going to predict the weather. Now, here's where it gets really extraordinary. So Phil is officially claimed to be the same groundhog that has been predicting the weather since 1887. Same groundhog. The Groundhogs Club, the Inner Circle, a group of men in top hats and tuxedos who run the whole ceremony, maintain that Phil is kept young and immortal by drinking a secret potion called the Elixir of Life each summer. So this elixir supposedly adds 7 years to his life each time. A real groundhog's lifespan is like 2 or 3 years in the wild. Phil is allegedly over 130 years old. The inner circle, completely straight faced, maintains this fiction as official club doctrine. You can't crack them. They're sticking to this. Phil is over 130 years old. Same groundhog from 1887.
Sure.
Incredible. Yeah, sure. So, exactly. um, so the ceremony itself is interesting. At dawn, like I said, the inner circle gathers at Gobbler's Knob. Phil is coaxed out of his burrow. Phil then whispers his prediction to the president of the inner circle in a language, by the way, called groundhogese, his own official language that he can speak with the inner circle, with the president of the inner circle. The president is the only one who can understand groundhogese. So I'm like, does he teach this to the other people? I mean, is he over 130 years old as well? Who knows? I don't know. Anyway, he's the only one who can speak groundhogese on account of carrying an ancient uh, is it acacia? Acacia? Wood cane. I didn't know how to pronounce that. I don't
Acacia?
know. Uh, so apparently this can make him understand groundhogese. I don't know. So the VP has pre-prepared 2 scrolls, one for each outcome, and reads the appropriate one aloud depending on the outcome. So the inner circle says they decide which scroll to read based on Phil's communication. Research has shown Phil's accuracy rate to be about 40%, so worse than a coin flip, but doesn't change his popularity. Really
Okay,
doesn't.
is he more or less right than the weatherman?
He's probably more right than other people. I swear to God, the weather people are never right. Like, yeah, it's gonna be sunny today, and then you're carrying your umbrellas because it's freaking raining outside. So just like I said, I talk about the movie. Before the 1993 movie Groundhog Day um, came about 2,000 people attended the ceremony, the groundhog ceremony every year. After the film, attendance exploded to over 40,000 people, nearly 7 times the town's entire population arriving for one morning.
Yes.
Freaking incredible.
People will do anything
So,
now.
there is a dark twist to Puxatawney Phil and the groundhog story. In the earliest years of Groundhog Day, after Phil made his prediction, they ate him, which confused me at first because I thought, how did they eat him if it's the same groundhog who's been around?
They ate his
for
brother,
130
his twin
years.
brother.
So, the 1887 event was actually called a groundhog picnic. Groundhog meat was served as a local delicacy at the Puxtawney Elk Lodge, and diners reportedly found it quite tender. At some point, the townspeople realized that a celebratory groundhog was worth more alive than dead or than cooked. And so Phil was spared, elevated to icon status, and the rest is history.
Well, I
So,
mean, you can cook anything long enough, it'll eventually get tender enough.
and then one more detail I wanted to mention about the movie. Well, the movie Groundhog's Day, incredible movie with Bill Murray, filmed 1993. It came out. Um,
1990s.
set in it feels old. Really? No, I mean it was in the 90s. It was 93. But
I always thought
it
maybe I'm thinking about Scrooge.
Scrooge. That was I think late 80s, but I think that was late 80s, mid to late 80s.
Mm,
But yeah, but so it was set in Punxsutawney and features Phil heavily, but the movie was not filmed there. The movie was shot almost entirely in Woodstock, Illinois. Punxsutawney was not consulted on this creative choice, but they
that's
did
rude.
make peace with it. So, all right. Next up, the town Pennsylvania set on fire and forgot to put out Centralia.
Yes,
So, yes.
I know about this.
Yeah, this is one of those stories where you're like, a town that's been burning for how many years? That just doesn't seem right. Well, Centralia, Pennsylvania is a small town that has been on fire underground, literally, infernally on fire since 1962. And it may continue burning for another 250 years or so. Centralia was once upon a time a perfectly ordinary coal mining town in Columbia County, about 2 hours northwest of Philadelphia. In the early 1900s, it had about 2,500 residents and 14 active coal mines. By 1960, the mining industry had declined, but about 1,400 people still called it home. It had churches, shops, schools, a community. It was a regular town. Um, then came May 27th, right before my birthday, of course, not the same year, 1962. Centralia Borough Council had arranged, as it did most years before Memorial Day, to clean up the local landfill by setting it on fire. This was a standard garbage disposal method at the time. 5 volunteer firefighters stood by to make sure things didn't get out of hand. The trash burned. They thought they put it out. And then a few days later, fire was spotted again and again, again. What nobody realized at first was that underneath that landfill, there was a hole about 15 feet wide that provided direct access to a vast labyrinth network of abandoned coal mine tunnels stretching for miles beneath the city. The fire had crept through the trash, found that hole, slipped underground, and caught a coal seam. And anthracite coal, once burning, is extraordinarily difficult to extinguish. The underground fire spread slowly, silent, and visibly for months, then years. So by the late 1970s and early 80s, the signs were impossible to ignore. Residents reported foul smelling gases in their basements. The highway cracked open and emitted smoke. Coals appeared. Vegetation died in patches. A 12-year-old boy nearly fell to his death in a suddenly appearing sinkhole. The government eventually allocated over $42 million to relocate Centralia's residents, and most of them took the deal. Houses were demolished, streets were torn up. By 1992, the state condemned all remaining properties and tried to evict the last holdout. A small number of residents refused to leave and fought the state in court for decades. In 2013, Pennsylvania reached a settlement allowing the remaining residents, mostly elderly people who lived there their entire lives, to stay until they died. As a 2020 census, 5 people remain living in Centralia. So today, it is mostly a ghost town, or more accurately, a ghost grid. Most of the roads are still there, but they lead to empty lots, overgrown with weeds. A handful of buildings remain, including like one Ukrainian Catholic church that holds weekly Sunday services, having been spared because there's a solid rock, not coal, plate beneath it. The old main highway, which is Route 61, was rerouted. The original road sits cracked and weed split and closed to traffic. So for years, it was covered in graffiti and attracted like urban explorers until the state buried it under like feet of dirt to discourage trespassing. Geologists estimate the fire is currently burning at depths of up to 300 feet, and, across an area of around like 3,700 acres and 8 miles of underground tunnel. Excuse me. At its current rate, it could continue to burn for over 250 years. It is, as one geologist memorably put it, the impossible dream to extinguish Centralia. Yeah, to extinguish. It is, and it was the inspiration for a video game and film franchise, Silent Hill, which is like
Yeah,
a fog-covered, hellish, abandoned American town.
yeah.
Interestingly, at its peak heat, the ground in parts of Centralia exceeded 900 degrees Fahrenheit beneath residents' feet.
Mm.
In 1981, a 12-year-old boy, like I said, into a sinkhole that suddenly opened in his grandmother's backyard. He grabbed a tree root and hung on until his cousin pulled him out. The hole was found to contain lethal levels of carbon monoxide gas. So, definitely not a place I would want my children growing up in. I'm not really understanding why the folks that remain to live there stayed. I mean, maybe because they were elderly, they lived there their whole lives. Obviously, that's home to them, but I think I would be terrified that my house would collapse, that I wouldn't be safe. Um, I don't know. I mean, I'm not judging. I really understand. So interestingly, I just want to also mention Centralia's founder, Alexander Ray, was murdered on the road between Centralia and the next town in 1868. According to local legend, the town's first Catholic priest, furious at having been assaulted by local troublemakers, cursed Centralia, saying the day would come when the town would be swallowed up. The fire started nearly a century later. So people remember the curse. I don't know. Was it the curse that caused the fire at Centralia? Kind of weird.
Yeah.
But yeah. The next thing I want to talk about is from Pennsylvania is the insane list of American firsts that came from Pennsylvania. So
Yeah,
thanks
I
to
mean,
Pennsylvania, all these firsts are because
they
of us.
weren't the first state, so
No, no, no. Yeah, you, New Jersey. I don't know. All right. So, um, let's start with the world's first electronic computer, ENIAC, or the Electronic Numeral Integrator and Computer, was built at the University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia in 1946. It weighed 27 tons. It occupied an entire room. It had 18,000 vacuum tubes. It was a beast, but it could solve complex mathematical equations faster than any human. And it launched the age of modern computing. The computer in your pocket, cell phone, is a direct descendant of that enormous room filling Pennsylvania born machine. So thanks to PA. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Some state pride there. The first piano built in America was constructed in Philadelphia in 1775 by a German immigrant named Johann Berendt. The first public zoo in the United States opened in Philadelphia on July 1st of 1874, the Philly Zoo. Admission at the time, oh, 25 cents for adults, 10 cents for children. Today, it is home to over 1,300 animals. The first baseball stadium ever built, Forbes Field, opened in Pittsburgh in 1909. Also, the world's first driving gas station opened in Pittsburgh in 1913. The internet emoticon, the smiley face, was invented at Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh on September 1982 by computer science professor Scott Thalman. He used it to differentiate jokes from serious posts in online message boards. So,
makes sense.
emoticon, thank you. Okay. Um, as we all know, Hershey, Pennsylvania, known as the sweetest place on earth, was literally a
Also smells
company.
really bad before you get there
Well, you have to
because
drive
of the
through areas
cows.
of manure first, and so,
Yep.
although here in E-Town, let me tell you, we have the Mars Chocolate Factory. So, you walk out your back porch sometimes and you can smell chocolate, or some days you smell poop. You
Depends
never know
on
what you're gonna get.
which way the wind whichever
Right.
way the wind blows that day.
Exactly. Anyway, so Hershey was literally a company, town built from scratch by Milton Hershey around his chocolate factory in 1903. He built the streets, the homes, the school, the trolley system, the amusement park. The streets are named Chocolate Avenue, Cocoa Avenue. The streetlights are shaped like Hershey's Kisses. It really sounds like a dream, but I do love driving through Hershey and seeing the streetlights and everything like that. But it is a functioning town that millions of people visit every year. And it's not a dream. Well, it's Milton Hershey's dream. He made it come true. So,
Well, that's where I got to see New Kids on the Block and Backstreet Boys at the stadium.
oh, be quiet. Backstreet Boys. Oh, smack you.
I
New
also
kids.
saw Dave Matthews.
Ah, I wasn't really a Dave Matthews fan.
For
I
as
felt
many
like
times as I've seen Dave Matthews perform, I'm not the biggest fan. Don't kill me, Crystal.
was Crystal a big fan?
Yes. I
Okay.
mean, I like their popular songs.
Well,
It's
I don't
just
know.
the rock
I
girl.
when he says, like, "Lift up your skirt a little more and show your world to me," I just kinda feel like that's sexist. I don't know. I just yeah, ever since I heard
Well,
that
it's a song about getting down.
yeah. But I mean, I was like, thank you." Not that anyway. But, Indiana County. Indiana County in Pennsylvania is the Christmas tree capital of the world. They grow more Christmas trees than anywhere else on the planet. Kennett Square, Pennsylvania grows over half of all the mushrooms produced in the entire United States. It's called the mushroom capital of the world and takes this very seriously.
Mm.
And Benjamin Franklin, who lived in Philadelphia, invented bifocals, the lightning rod, the Franklin stove, and swimming fins, and founded the nation's first public library. Also, let's talk about the post office. And at one point, the sixth president of Pennsylvania. He was the sixth president of Pennsylvania. So Pennsylvania didn't just participate in American history, we
They
really
were
drafted a lot of it.
American history.
Yeah, yeah. We started a lot of awesome, awesome things. So, I wanna talk about some fun names of Pennsylvania.
Oh my gosh. They're Massachusetts, New York, and New Jersey.
So, we have some very interesting names in this state. I have to be honest. I'm just gonna run down them and, we go from there. We have Blue Ball, Intercourse, Virginville, Climax, Lover, Honey Hole, Jugtown, Mars, Pancake, Noodle Doocy, King of Prussia, Bird in Hand, Paradise, Fertility. Let's not forget 84, Normalville, Snowshoe, Nancy Glow, Pillow, Panic, Beaver, Big Beaver, Beaver Meadows, Little Beaver, Venus, Charlottesville, Reduction, Hot Bottom. We also have Rough and Ready, Wampum, and Burnt Cabins.
And Shamokin.
I didn't even see that one. Oh, yeah. Thank you for naming another one. But yeah, all names of places, cities, towns, counties in Pennsylvania.
Well, even to most people, they don't know how to pronounce Schuylkill.
Yeah, and we have a lot of those freaky names, like like you said, like Susquehanna and Schuylkill, and you have. Oh my gosh, my brain has just died. There's another one. I can't think of it. I'll
Swatara.
have to. What is it?
Swatara.
Well, there's Swatara, but yeah, there's a lot of weird, and of course they're all Indian. Yeah, they're all indigenous people names that we borrowed because once again we took over their land, so why not take over their names? But yeah, so very interesting names. Noodle Doocy, which I had never heard of before, apparently is a place here in PA. Not sure of the origin. I just wanted to know that, that it does exist. There's also a California, a Rome, a Lebanon, a Moscow, a Nazareth, a Newfoundland, and a Norway, all in PA. So we can really travel all around the world without leaving PA.
Well, and to be
And
fair, probably a lot of them, because of how much immigration actually happened in
yeah,
the East Coast for a very long time.
yeah.
We got a lot of our names also because people were homesick.
Well, I since a lot of the fun names do come from Lancaster County. I wanted to focus on some of those names. Um, so here in Lancaster County, we alone have Intercourse, Birmingham, Blue Ball, Paradise, Virginville. They come from Pennsylvania Dutch and Amish settlements. Intercourse is believed to have come from an old usage of the word meaning a crossroads of commerce and communication. Birmingham comes from an old inn sign. These names are historical, practical, and entirely innocent in origin. They were not meant to be what they are now. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, it doesn't make them any less spectacular when you're, like, passing through a sign saying, "Welcome to intercourse," and that you
Mhm.
have to get through intercourse to get to paradise, the town of paradise. That's just great. You have to go through intercourse to get to paradise, which I had to do when I worked at the dinner theater every day, which was located in paradise. Go through intercourse. It was great. I'm like, "I'm driving through intercourse. No, I'm going through intercourse." Yeah, yeah. It was weird. It was really
I
weird.
got through intercourse and found paradise.
Exactly. But, we're so used to it here. Like, I'm sure, like, it would make most people, like, chortle. But, we're so used to it. We're so used to it.
Mhm.
It really doesn't people wear like, you can tell the tourists because they're wearing these sweatshirts, like, "I love intercourse," because obviously we wouldn't wear shit like that, but.
Pennsylvania's better because it has intercourse, or the
Exactly,
whole,
yes! Virginia may be
Virginia
for lovers,
loves lovers.
but Pennsylvania has intercourse. Yes, that was the advertisement. That was an advertisement one time. So, yeah, King of Prussia, by the way, which, has one of the largest shopping malls in the North America, was named after an old tavern called the King of Prussia Inn, which itself was named after Frederick the Great of Prussia, who was popular in the colonies during the French and Indian Wars. The name outlasted the tavern by about 270 years, and then I never knew there was a Mars, Pennsylvania, but, it is a real place in Butler County. It has a water tower painted to look like a UFO, which I thought was interesting.
Live in Mars.
The town fully leans into its name. There are alien statues downtown. The local high school teams are called the Planets, and they have
Well,
embraced
that
the bit completely, and I love it. I give them kudos for that because I just think that's so awesome.
they could have been extraterrestrials. Come on.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh, that's so cool. I wanna see the water tower." I think that's so awesome.
Yeah. I'm just mad at them for not doing any mascots that are aliens.
Mascots maybe they do. I didn't see that they do, but maybe they do, I don't know. But, I mean, I just think that'd be so cool, I don't know. Anyway, um, so next I'm gonna talk about some weird and strange laws, the Mutter Museum horrors, and the Steagles. So, starting off with the laws of Pennsylvania, we have some pretty weird laws that are still in the books. For instance, it is illegal in Pennsylvania to tell fortunes or predict future events for personal gain. This is an actual third-degree misdemeanor. If you set up a psychic reading booth and charge people money to tell their fortunes, you are committing a crime in the Commonwealth.
Well, that
This
was me.
exactly, this bothered me because 'cause I'm like, "Are you serious?" Because, like, I was working in a tea room, like, we were having a lady come in to read tea leaves, and I'm like, "Oh my god, was that illegal?
Well,
Seriously?" I mean, I doubt she would've been arrested unless, like, the cops had, like, make a quota or something, but yeah, I that dumbfounded me. I'm like, "Really?" I mean, anyway. Um, so presumably Punxsutawney Phil, that I was talking about earlier, is exempt because he's a groundhog and cannot be charged with misdemeanors. So, at least I assume so. So I just wanted to, clear the air there. Punxsutawney Phil, he's legal.
he's only safe because it isn't medieval times, because they literally did that in the medieval times. They actually it was I wanna say, like, France and places like that, they would actually like, they took animals to court, be more like a papal court, I guess.
Really? No
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Animals.
Yeah.
Animals
Yeah.
that
Rats.
can't defend themselves in any way, shape well, of course, he does speak, groundhogese, but
Right.
only to the head guy, the president
Yeah. Well,
of the
there's
United
a
States.
topic that we need to cover.
Alright, so you cannot buy a car in Pennsylvania on a Sunday, which here in Lancaster County, there are no car dealerships that are open anyway because it's Sunday. Who's open on a Sunday in Lancaster County? No one. Car dealerships are required by law to be closed on Sundays. This is a vestige of the old blue laws, religiously motivated restrictions on commerce on the Sabbath, and it remains in effect today. So you can plan your Sunday drive, you just cannot purchase the car to drive it. This was interesting, I never knew this. So during World War II, so many Philadelphia Eagles and Pittsburgh Steelers players were enlisted in the military that neither team had enough players to field a full squad. So for the 1943 season, the two franchises merged into a single combined team called the Steagles. I had no clue. Of course, I was not born in 1942. I had no clue. They finished 5-4 to 1. Then they unmerged. I Yeah, the Steagles. Who knew? I'm sure, because I mean, my husband hates Pittsburgh with a fiery passion, and I feel like, as even though like the Pittsburgh Steelers are not like the Cowboys, they're not like the greatest enemy of the Eagles. I still feel like, there is that rift, between Pittsburgh fans and Philly fans, they're like a Pittsburgh. So, but they were once merged for 1 year, Steagles. So, I want to talk about the Mutter Museum, because you can't really talk about Pennsylvania weirdness without talking about the Mutter Museum. It is
I've
located in
never heard
Philadelphia.
of it.
You never heard of it? It's talks about oddities, historical, things, oddities, and it's located in Philadelphia. Mutter, M-U with an umlaut, T-T-E-R, a museum of medical history and anatomical oddities, and it's not for the faint of heart. Among its exhibits, a section of Albert Einstein's brain preserved in slices. Yeah,
Slices?
slices, like pizza, you can kinda see in yeah, yeah.
Oh, is there really anything different compared to regular
To me,
brain?
it's all dead brain. I don't know. Dead, gross brain, which, by the way, I did get to see a preserved brain. They brought it into my neurology office one time, and, we could look at this human brain. It was fascinating, actually, it was really fascinating. A collection of sorry, I digress. A collection of over 100 human skulls are also on display. Section of
Soon to be
John
in
Wilkes.
my house. Soon to be
Well,
in my house.
I was gonna hopefully yours are not real human skulls,
I
unless you're
mean,
like Jeffrey
what's
Dahmer
a
or something.
what's a better way than
Is
to
there
recycle?
something going on, Sheena, that I don't know about? Oh my
I mean,
gosh.
re reduce, reuse, recycle.
I don't think we were taught that, exact about,
But no, I never heard of this place. How did I not hear of this place?
it's
I mean,
it's
it's
it's really
right up my
fascinating,
alley.
and, like, they also have, like, parts of John Wilkes Booth's thorax. I'm like, "Yeah, it's so weird." Um, Definitely something to check out, but, and I apologize, I'm having issues getting my notes back. My notes are off
Well,
my screen.
one thing we definitely will need to talk about more is the squonk, which is Pennsylvania's cryptid. That's something that we should definitely talk about sometime.
Yeah.
I
Well, and
really
then, like I said, the Mutter Museum is definitely one thing that you need to check out. Um, so we have 6 another interesting fact I just wanna point out, we have 6 original potato chip companies in Pennsylvania alone. We have Herr's, Utz's, Martin's, Bon-Ton, Bickles, and Snyder's of Hanover. Never heard of Bon-Ton. Bickles I've heard of.
me either.
Bon-Ton used to be a department store that I know of. Um,
Yeah.
but so this is Pennsylvania is kinda like the potato chip belt of the United States. Peeps are manufactured in Bethlehem. I love those Peeps, although they're getting a little weird now. They have, like, Dr. Pepper Peeps and stuff.
Okay. Like I okay. Here's the thing. I love marshmallows. I hate peeps. It's
I
just too much.
they're very sweet. They're very sweet. I mean, you have to definitely be in the mood for them because it's, just marshmallowy.
Just marshmallow and sugar.
Yeah.
Just sugar on sugar.
So, in historic Bethlehem, The Moravian Bookshop stands as the oldest continuously operating bookshop in the world, founded in 1745.
Mm.
Sesame Place in Langhorne is the only theme park based on the award-winning series Sesame Place, Sesame Street. Let's see here. Like I said before, Kennett Square is the mushroom capital of America. M. Night Shyamalan was raised in Penn Valley, which was a suburb of Pennsylvania. He's known for setting his films like The Sixth Sense and Signs and The Happening in and around the Philadelphia area. Pittsburgh holds the claim to fame to have the first Ferris wheel built in 1893. So many awesome things in Pennsylvania. So Bethlehem's Music Fest is considered one of the largest outdoor music festivals in the US, lasting 10 days with over 500 performers and over 1 million visitors. Pennsylvania has the world's largest shoe in Hellam, Pennsylvania. It's actually a house that is shaped like a shoe. There are no reports of an old lady living in it, by the way, just to give you that heads up. But I drive past it on the way to Gettysburg. It is so awesome to see. It's literally up on a hillside off the highway in York, and, it's so cool. I mean, you drive, you're on the highway, and all of a sudden, there's a shoe house on the left-hand side. I think they actually
I
converted it
think
to
I've
like a
seen it.
yeah, I think they, converted it to like an Airbnb or something like that. That's cool. So the Pennsylvania Dutch are not actually Dutch at all. After migrating to America from Germany, they were called Pennsylvania Deutsch, which is the German word for Germanic people. So eventually, the English language was converted from Deutsch to Dutch. All right. Actor Jimmy Stewart was born and raised in the town of Indiana, PA. So every Christmas, the downtown area is decorated in the theme of the star's classic Christmas hit, It's a Wonderful Life. Philadelphia native Bill Cosby played football at Central High School, despite his grandfather warning him he wasn't strong enough. He broke his shoulder in the first game of the season. And then there was a Pennsylvania couple who got married at a Philadelphia Dunkin' Donuts in 2005. Why? Who knows?
You know what, though? I could use a good Boston cream. I'm just saying.
I like their strawberry sprinkled. I really do. I like their strawberry sprinkled donuts. Yeah, there's something about them. I don't know. And their refreshers are really good. I like their refreshers. So,
Well, we don't have a Dunkin' Donuts over here,
you
so
don't wait, you don't have Dunkin' there?
uh-uh. Nope, and I know, believe me, that's why I'm like, I would kill for a decent Boston cream.
Yeah, that's weird. So yeah, there Pennsylvania is so I mean, we have the Crayola factory here in Lehigh Valley, producing nearly 3 billion crayons each year. That's an average of like 12 million daily, enough to wrap the earth 6 times. Pittsburgh has become somewhat of a Hollywood mecca in recent years. So, hits like The Perks of Being a Wallflower, The Dark Knight Rises, and The Fault in Our Stars were all filmed there. Of course, we have Yingling Yingling from Pennsylvania. Located in
Yeah.
Pottsville, D.G. Yingling and Son began brewing in 1829, making it the oldest operating brewing company in the United States. It's also tied with, Boston Beer Company, who makes Sam Adams, in 2011 for sales. Interestingly enough, Pennsylvania is the only original colony not bordered by the Atlantic Ocean. Pennsylvania is it's just fascinating. It's a fascinating place of all these little facts and tidbits, and I have learned so much about this state when I was doing my homework here. It's just it's been so interesting, and 'cause, I mean, I was born and raised here, but I never knew so many of these things. I was like, "Oh my god." It just made me kind of have more Pennsylvania pride. I don't know, like, yay. Yay for
Well,
people.
on that, since you didn't bring anything up about the lovely little cryptids, which is super important, you've
About the
got
what?
cryptids of Pennsylvania.
What's
I
that?
searched up some cryptids of Pennsylvania. So we have the squonk, there's the bad witch, there's also a gewoggle, and it's Giwoggle. There's the Raystown Ray, the Potter Nondescript, the Kiski Creature, Waterford Sheepman, Susquehanna Seal, Balltail Cat, the Purple Glob, the Monogoy, and yeah. So there's some fun things that we can do some other time.
Well, I mean, there's like I said, there's so many, so many awesome things. Of course, soft pretzels, big thing in
Mm.
Pennsylvania. We started with soft pretzels here. Uh,
Two Cousins Pizza.
is that a Pennsylvania? Is that a Pennsylvania? I don't know. I don't
Huh?
know. I
Yeah,
mean,
we that's where we used to always get our pizza, and they were in Brownstown, and then there's one in Ephrata now, as far
I
as I
mean,
know.
I wouldn't really consider that a big. I don't know. Two cousins is fine. I just, I wouldn't consider it a huge.
You might not, but that's what we ate. That's when we got pizza, that's usually when we got pizza, and when we lived out
Okay.
there. So,
Okay.
that's what I'm like, I have to base everything off of when I try pizza, a new slice somewhere, and I'm just like, "Yeah, it's okay."
Gotcha. Gotcha. I mean, I guess if you, I mean, two cousins is fine. I like two cousins, but yeah, definitely not something I would have thought of. But yeah, I mean, just so many neat and interesting things, and I wish
Well,
I would.
and you've got the things like the cloisters, which is really
Yeah,
awesome
it's just.
for
I mean,
historical.
that makes our hometown of Ephrata really special.
Mhm.
With the cloister and everything like that. Um, you know, it's from 1700s. Early 1700s. Um, this little. I don't want to say that cult, but I mean, this little religious sect of people living together, separated, women in one house, men in another house, and,
Which I would
practicing
totally
celibacy.
live by.
Practicing celibacy.
Okay, that no.
Although, supposedly, Conrad Beissel, the gentleman who founded the cloisters, apparently was not celibate and, deemed to, knock on windows of the sister's house to, fornicate with some of the women there, allegedly.
Color me not surprised.
Exactly. That's my thinking exactly. I mean, not to n I promised a friend of mine who listens to our podcast, that I would not man bash. He likes to joke that, we man bash, a lot. But, I
Well,
mean,
here's your
seriously,
call out to be better.
exactly. It's like, well, duh, I mean, then men should not be, they should be practicing what they preach. If they want celibacy, then maybe they should be, practicing celibacy and not like, knocking on windows and, sneaking into women's houses and yeah. But yeah, it's definitely been an interesting research. I really enjoyed it. Oh yeah, my notes came back. Yeah. I was like, "What happened? Why is this not happening?" Okay. So I did want to I do wanna conclude, and I do apologize for the delay. So, like I said, with the Motor Museum, there are sections of John Wilkes Booth's thorax, and then I also wanted to mention at the Motor Museum, there's the soap lady. So, a
Isn't that
body
the
was
lady who was
exhumed.
found in a lake, and because the
Yeah,
water
yeah.
was so cold?
A body was exhumed in the 19th century whose remains had undergone a rare chemical process called saponification. I mutilated that, I'm so sorry. Which converted, the body's fat into like a soap-like substance, preserving her in a waxy, intact form. So she sits in a glass case. She's been there for over 150 years. People come from all over the world to see her. So that's a little disturbing, but I think my daughter Ari would love to see the Motor Museum. I really do.
Well, if you don't feel up to it, when Auntie Sheena comes to visit someday, we'll go.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you guys can go, yeah. I mean, I think it'd be interesting. I don't know if I'd be able to stomach some of the stuff, I don't know, but I think I'd wanna see John Wilkes Booth's thorax. Why that is on display, I have no idea. Like,
Yeah.
what is like, how did that come to be? That's my question. How did that come to be? Um,
Mhm.
anyway, so, another interesting tidbit, Pennsylvania was the first US state to include its website address, pa.gov, on its license plates. It was, of course, the early internet era, and we wanted you to visit us online. So we thought, hey, why not put it on our license plate? And we're driving through PA or driving through New York. You can, those New Yorkers, were like, "Those darn," of course, darn would not be coming out of a New Yorker's mouth. It'd be, a lot worse. "Those darn PA drivers." Like, "Ooh, PA.gov. Let's check it out." Doesn't wanna do
Yeah,
that.
sure. Sure.
Of course, famous battle of the Civil War was fought here in Pennsylvania, the Battle of Gettysburg. Historians can argue that maybe it was the most important battle of the Civil War. It was the determining factor of the Civil War. It was the first battle that Lee lost, and, it it's very significant. So, we had there was over, about 151,000 casualties, over those 3 days, of the Battle of Gettysburg. Let's see here.
So understandably haunted.
Oh, yes. Yes, definitely haunted, sacred ground there, sacred ground. But, and of course, you have the movie, that was filmed there as well, which is, my dad was in, and yay, got to meet
So
some
what your
famous people.
dad
So,
has a ghost
that was
story
fun.
about.
And like we said, obviously it's very, very haunted. Ghost tours are run. Paranormal investigators flock there to Gettysburg. I've seen something questionable. So many people have seen things, experienced things.
I did.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
tender
it's
age of 12.
yeah. Um, all right. So I just wanted to leave you guys with some fast facts that I wasn't really able to fit in anywhere else. So I'm just kind of going to run through these. So Pennsylvania has 67 counties, 6 neighboring states, and borders both the Great Lakes and the Atlantic Ocean watershed. It's the watershed, not the ocean, but the watershed. It is somehow both a mid-Atlantic and a Great Lakes state simultaneously. The Pennsylvania Lottery's official mascot is a groundhog named Gus, described in commercials as the second most famous groundhog in Pennsylvania. So, I mean, that's literally the joke. They branded him the second most famous groundhog. Yeah. So Gus exists specifically because of this trademark, because of, the Puxtawney Phil being, the big, the big named groundhog. And so now there's a rivalry with groundhogs, but whatever. Pittsburgh has more bridges than any other city in the world, over 440 of them. Pittsburgh has more bridges than Venice, which I thought was insane because, I mean, Venice has like the canals and
Waterways.
yeah, I mean, that's known as like the water. Yeah. Um, so this is a fact that Pittsburgh people will tell you almost immediately upon meeting you, and they are proud of it. Like I mentioned before, the soft pretzel, deeply embedded in Pennsylvania food culture. That Philadelphia style soft pretzel, the long, thin, twisted. They're sold from street carts, sporting events, as a standard cafeteria lunch item in Philadelphia public schools. Philly children grow up understanding that this is just what pretzels are. They're a huge deal. Pennsylvania contains 95% of all anthracite coal in the US. Anthracite is the purest, densest, hottest burning coal, a form of coal. Pennsylvania literally sat on top of the fuel that powered American industrialization. And like I said, the one town, Centralia, has been burning because of that anthracite coal that sits underneath it. There are Grunsow lodges or groundhog lodges. They are social organizations in Pennsylvania Dutch country that celebrate Groundhog Day with elaborate dinners, speeches, and performances entirely in the Pennsylvania German dialect. If you speak English at a Grunsow lodge dinner, you are fined, typically a nickel per word, collected in a bowl in the center of the table. People pay the fine cheerfully. It's tradition. And finally, Pennsylvania's state motto is virtue, liberty, and independence. Its nickname is the Keystone State because a keystone is a central wedge shaped stone in an arch that holds everything else together. It is in the early republic. Pennsylvania was literally the geographic and political center holding the northern and southern states together. It was the Keystone. And in many ways, as a place of founding documents and burning towns, of chocolate utopias and immortal groundhogs, Pennsylvania still holds things together. And I want to leave on one little fun fact as well. We do have a state drink. It's milk. So that's all I have for today. So if you love weird Pennsylvania facts, please subscribe. Let me know if you have any more. Anything else you found out about Pennsylvania, if you have any weird, interesting oddities about PA. Of course, we all, Pennsylvanians, we call Pennsylvania PA. We love it. I don't think a lot of other states call themselves, like, NY for New York or NJ for New Jersey, it's PA, but we call ourselves, we say PA, here in PA, that's a thing as well.
Well
But, yeah, so let us know.
well, I have been a little bit homesick a bit. So,
Come out to PA. I'm cheesy, I know, I'm cheesy.
but yeah, no, I love Pennsylvania, that's where I consider that I really grew up in when, like, I was
Even
a
though
kid because
you were born and raised in New Jersey,
for a
PA
bit.
was your home for a long time.
Yeah, because we moved from New Jersey to Virginia,
Mhm.
and then we we went from Virginia to Pennsylvania, and we actually lived in a place called Leola
No
before we
way!
moved yeah, before we moved
In
to
Virginia?
Ephrata.
In
No,
Virginia?
in Pennsylvania.
Oh. Oh, I thought you lived in Leola in a different state. Oh, okay.
No, no, we lived in Leola before we moved to Ephrata, and
Okay.
yeah, and it's also kind of funny because, like, there's definitely a difference between Western Pennsylvania, Middle Central Pennsylvania, and Eastern Pennsylvania. Especially
Yeah.
the one thing the one thing that you can always tell the difference is how people pronounce Lancaster.
Yes.
Because if you
Lancaster.
pronounce it Lancaster like we do, that's
Mhm.
usually how you say it in Pennsylvania.
Yep.
Everywhere else, it's Lancaster. And I'm like,
And
"No, you're
that's
saying it wrong."
probably because supposedly they have a what in California, I think it's a Lancaster,
Yep, they have
and
a
I think that's how they pronounce it
Lancaster.
out there,
Yeah.
if I'm not
Well, and they have
mistaken.
one in there's one in Ohio as well.
Okay. Okay. Well, I mean, I think that, yeah, I mean, pretty much if you pronounce it, here like that, it's, Lancaster, we're like,
You're not li you're not
"You're not from
local, are you?
PA. You're not from PA. Where are you from? Where are you from? Yeah, where are you from?" That's what we'll ask you. "Where are you from?" 'Cause yeah, but, it's interesting. Pennsylvania had a lot of, they had a lot of fun facts that I really enjoyed researching and looking up, but like I said, things that I never knew before and things I like to revisit. I mean, obviously, I knew about Punxsutawney Phil, and Centralia, but I didn't really know, like, all the history. It's fun.
Alright, so I spun the wheel,
Yes.
and you got pop culture and current events.
Cool. Pop culture and current events. Gotcha.
Or I guess that's the
Or
word.
or
Pop
or
culture
okay.
or not both.
Not
So,
not
and then
both.
we have me next week, and I will be doing paranormal, and we will be visiting Spain. So, we'll
Where are we
talk about
visiting?
some Spain.
Spain.
Spain, España.
España. Sweet.
Yeah, it's kind of really weird, like, I've never heard of this, and so when I just typed in, like, weird thing, like, stories that you haven't heard much about for
Mhm.
paranormal, I found this one and I'm like, "Hmm, this is this sounds really interesting," and so that's what I'll be
Yeah.
bringing next week, so, yeah, so, you know, reach out to us on Facebook and let us know what you think of this episode, if there's anything we missed. I haven't lived in
And I'm sure
Pennsylvania.
there's so much because it's Pennsylvania is I mean, there's so many I mean, I couldn't even touch, like, all the laws. I mean, there's so many other, like, weird blue laws that I could have gone into. There's so many weird so let us know, like, chime in, let us know,
Yeah,
what you
and the
know,
thing
what you
is
see.
like, there's just so many, places too that have, like, really different festivals and stuff
Mhm,
because of, like, big crowds of people live there, like, I know closer to Philadelphia and, like, the Bensalem area
mhm,
that, there's a lot of Russian people there or,
mhm.
and so they have a big thing. I remember. vaguely remember seeing about, like, a big festival for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah. So, let us know and reach out to us, help us build our community, and I guess we'll see you next week.
Bye, everybody. Have a good night.
Bye.
Have a good week. Bye.
Love you.
Love you.